You have to be exclusive. I know we want to be inclusive, but as a marketer, you have to think in exclusive ways. And I'm not saying to discriminate. What I'm saying is you just have to think about, hey, do I want any guy wearing my stuff?
You get into these saturated markets, and one of the best ways to make it feel like it's less saturated is to identify who that person is. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Unstoppable Marketer Podcast. With me, as always, my co-host, Mark Goldhart. Mark Goldhart, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Well, swell.
Yeah? Woke up to
snow.
The first snow on the street today. Like it was stuck to the street.
We did.
Yeah, at least at my house. Was that at your house too?
Yeah, it was very wintry this morning on the morning walk.
But then it was like blue skies.
By the time I got here, it was blue skies. So
yeah, it was very interesting.
A little bluebird day. Yeah. I don't know if any of the ski resorts are open.
No, I think the earliest one opens like the 26th or something like that.
Right after Thanksgiving.
That's right before Thanksgiving, I think. We're okay. So if you're listening to this right now, it is Black Friday is this week. If you're listening to this will drop. And you are going into Black Friday. You are 3 days away from Thanksgiving. Cause it's 2 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 days. Yeah.
Yeah. So
most people start on Thursday night.
3 days away from meta bugs,
higher CPMs,
Google bugs,
higher conversion rates though.
Yeah, higher conversion rates. Buying behavior is up.
We Godspeed. We wish you the best.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
You're going to have high CPMs, but you will have higher conversion rates. Your conversion rates will be high.
Do you know what that line's from?
Sing the songs that remind me of the good times. Is that it?
It is so not it.
Oh, but do you know what I was thinking it was?
Yeah, you're thinking of the Chumbawonky song.
Yeah, Chumbawamba.
Chumbawamba?
Yeah. Johnny Boy.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Johnny, down.
Kids will never know how great it was to just hear a song on the radio that slapped. Yeah. It's the only way to find a new song. Yeah. Or your older brother or sister brought home a CD.
Oh, I mean, if you go even further back, do you remember The Box? Did you ever watch The Box?
Oh, yeah, the TV show? The program?
Yeah, it was called The Box.
Like the channel.
The channel. It was called The Box, channel 58 for me.
But it only was just
music videos.
Live for, I feel like it was like a secret channel that we discovered, and it was on for maybe a year, and then it disappeared.
I can't confirm or deny that, but what The Box was is it was essentially like TRL without Carson Daly. So TRL was MTV where they would play music videos, but then Carson Daly would get on and he would talk about oh, that's the Spice Girls, or oh, that's NSYNC, But it was just music videos straight. But what you could do is it was like
what's your first memory of a music video on it? What music video was it?
Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Same.
Really?
I'm not kidding.
The cartoon?
I was right about to say The Devil Went Down to Georgia was the first thing I saw on that.
Or Power Man 5000. No one will ever remember that. Yeah. But The Box was, for those of you who don't understand, it was like a jukebox. You know how if you could go to a bar at a jukebox and you put money in, you say A9 and it would play that song. You could call in.
Oh, is that how it worked?
It was like star 67 or something like that.
And then they would just...
And it would bill your phone company. So our parents would lose it on us because it'd be like $3 or $4 a song. And we'd call in 10 times. And you just sit and wait. You didn't have a queue. You didn't know where you were at in the queue. So we would just watch it for 2 hours and just wait for our song. We're like, oh, Peaches. That was one that we'd always do, the Peaches song.
President of the United States.
Or we'd do a lot of Third Eye Blind. You get some Third Eye Blind, some Peaches.
Yeah, I remember Peaches. I remember...
Obviously, Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Devil Went Down to Georgia.
I don't know who sings that.
I don't know.
He was looking for a job. I can't remember.
I don't think it's any... I think it was a one-hit wonder.
It was awesome. The music video is epic.
The Box. box.
Yeah, the box. So, okay, so let's, in other news, big announcement this week was made by Vuori. So Vuori just raised another, I believe, $800 million at a valuation of $5.5 billion. Billion with a B. Vuori, the activewear company.
Yeah.
Is that what you call it? Athleisure activewear company.
Athleisure.
Which is very interesting because I don't know. I'm trying to think where I want to take this, but I want to break it down just because. So Vuori started, I want to say it was, did we say 2015? Is that what we looked up, or was it 2016? It was 2015.
2015.
Yep. So from 2015 to 2017, they only did 1 million in D2C revenue. So by year 2, they were doing $1 million a year. By year 3, 2018, that's when they launched women's, because they started with men's shorts, I believe. Like it was just, that was their one product, was men's shorts. They went into the women's space and went from 1 million to 30 million. Now I'm sure they got some investment at that time too. You don't generally just go from 1 million to 30 million if your product is not dramatically different. And if you think about it, their product, Lululemon was the kind of poster child of Vuori.
Yeah.
Not much different.
I don't want to. Everyone has these opinions about all these athleisure brands, but yeah, there's nothing that dramatically different.
What is your athleisure brand, athletic brand? Do you have one that you particularly subscribe to?
No, I do not. I have a pair of Lululemon shorts. I have a pair of Vuori shorts. I have Nike shorts.
So just everything.
And
whatever Christmas gift you're getting.
Basically, yeah. No, I'm not loyal at all to athletic brands.
I have fallen into the Vuori trap, and we're very loyal.
That's because you like pastels colors. They're more pastel-y.
And I really like their exercise shirts.
Lululemon seems to be a little bit more.
Their exercise shirts hold up. Now they're full of probably poisonous chemicals, but we can talk about that later. So what did Vuori do to go from 1 million to 30 million to now? We did the math.
It's like 500 to 600 million.
We did the math. Guys. So we have tools where we can see how much traffic a brand's getting, and you can put some averages. Like, okay, we've worked with enough clothing brands when their price point, like it seems like their average price point is probably like $90, I would imagine.
Yeah, their AOV is probably hovering around 130 to 160.
Yeah. So average conversion rate is between 1.5% to 2.5%, like is what most brands probably fall under. So I gave them a 2% conversion rate. I gave them $150 AOV, which means that from a direct to consumer perspective, with how much monitored traffic our tools are sharing with us, they're bringing in around $500 to $550 million a year on D2C alone. And then with some like basic
retail's hard.
Retail's really hard, but with some basic like
it's really hard to guess because
ChatGPT
we could be off
help.
We could literally be off by 80%.
Yes, we could. But
who knows?
What we're getting, they have about 50 stores. Their goal is to open 100, I think, by end of 2025. About 100 million is what we're guessing. Based off of ChatGPT.
But that's not counting Amazon.
That's not counting Amazon. It's not counting like their partnerships with Nordstrom, their partnerships with every Dick's, Scheels, sporting goods store. So you know, maybe it's another 100 to 200 million.
I can't believe Dick's is still called Dick's.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so they're probably
I'm sorry, but
they're probably annual revenue of let's say between 700 million and $1 billion. I think is probably a fair guess. Like
and their valuation was 5.5.
5.5. Yeah, so they're
seems
not
like
quite
a pretty
getting what is that? Between a 6 and a 7 multiple, depending on where they're at.
Yeah, based off the valuations I've seen, that seems really high. So we're probably wrong.
But hold up, you're right. But we're not dealing with we're not dealing with
that's true.
$1 billion companies. Like their brand is I think
they have
the value,
brand equity.
Yeah, the brand equity, exactly.
That's true.
Because I have heard that so Liquid Death, didn't they get I think the last valuation that they raised at was like 800 million. Does that sound familiar?
No, I don't know.
We had a discussion probably like a year and a half ago about this.
Yeah, I can't remember.
We'd have to go to the vault. But I think they were like 800 million.
I think they're verging on $1 billion, so that sounds about right.
And our buddy, Brody.
Yes.
He invests in a lot of these companies, and he worked with somebody, like his investor brought that Liquid Death portfolio to him, and they were still in the red, but valued at 800 million. Because of brand equity.
Well, yeah. Well, also valuations are funny, right? Because they're not just a multiple. Sometimes it's also like a run rate, and there's different equations that go into it.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So what is a company like that who, like I said, you've got Lululemon, who had the big takeoff in probably around 2014, 2015, is probably when they were really big. Remember when you and I got the discount from
it'd be
the kid?
They took off.
And that was probably 2016 when we got our 30% off and we bought 7 pairs of pants
from
each.
2010 to 2016 was kind of Lululemon's.
I'd probably say even more to 2020.
Well, I'm just talking about their exponential growth.
Yeah, because they were an 80s brand. I think they started in the 80s.
I have no idea about their backstory.
I read the founder's book, and I'm pretty sure he said they were kind of like a Nike, very long, Nike started in the 70s, and then all of a sudden they were huge when Michael Jordan took them on, right? Which was in the 98. Okay, so not the 80s, 98.
The 90s.
Yeah, late 90s. So I think that Lululemon's
it's a millennial brand.
I would guess Lululemon's heyday was probably 2014 to 2021, if I had to bet. And then you had Alo that came in, and Vuori that took up a lot of market share. So I think one of the reasons why Vuori was able to capitalize is Lulu became so big and popular, and sometimes when you become so big, people stop wanting it, right? Because everyone's wearing it.
Well, Alo's kind of new to the show.
Yeah, Alo is probably new the same way Vuori is.
I'd say Vuori's a little more of a second mover, along with because you had the men's brands like Cuts and Roan. Vuori started off heavy on the men's side and then went heavy into the women's space.
Yeah.
Right? Because you said they were doing 1 million, then they opened up women's and went to 30 million a year.
Yeah. I would guess they'd probably sell more women's, but I don't know.
And they have a very intense collaboration strategy, affiliate strategy. How many partnerships do they do a year?
Yeah, so they do around 12,000 by 2024. As of right now, they have 12,000 partnerships and collaborations. And I think what they did different than a Lululemon, I think Lululemon was really big into retail, but they just went super deep. So Vuori hit the same time that NIL stuff hit, and they went and found every college athlete who had following.
Start paying them.
And just started
emerging market.
shoveling that 700 million that they had raised, or 600 million that they had raised back in 2021. Just because when did NIL start?
2 years ago, right? 2022.
Yeah. So they had all that money.
I want to say maybe 21, but 2022, I think.
Yeah. But notably, the person that they landed was Livy Dunn, who had 3 million followers on Instagram and 7+ million, who at the time, if I remember right, when I read that, she was had the most followers of any collegiate athlete.
Yeah. She set the record for the most NIL revenue.
Oh, I'm sure.
By an athlete.
I'm sure.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. For those of you, she was the LSU gymnast.
Yeah.
And I don't know what she does now. I don't know if she's like on Team USA or
I just
what she's
remember
doing.
the news story when LSU was at the University of Utah for a gymnastic meet.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you call that? A gymnastic meet?
I think so. Yeah.
There was a news story about like 1,000 high school boys like waited for her to leave the stadium.
Oh, serious?
So like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, she got
A couple hundred. Like it was a bunch of people like waiting to get her autograph.
She got massive celebrity status.
Yeah, that's
she's
funny.
She's dating the guy who just won Rookie of the Year, or who'd won Rookie of the Year for football.
The NFL?
Yeah, I think.
I don't even know who that is.
I can't remember what his name is. Yeah, I just saw a video of him like winning it, and she was more excited than he was.
Oh,
Yeah, he was just kind of like, and she was like ecstatic about it. I have to look it up.
but anyways, yeah, I think how do you go there? What's what do you think?
The question is, how do you stand out think about like athleisure. Lululemon started the athleisure movement where women were like, hey, I can just wear my leggings as clothes, not just when I do yoga and work out. I'm just going to wear them to soccer practice. I'm going to wear them on the plane. I'm going to wear them everywhere, right? So they start this movement. Lulu paves it. This happens all the time where somebody paves a movement and then you have other brands that capitalize, but it's a super saturated market. And so we talk to people all the time in our business where we're working with, we have a marketing agency and we're working with, if I had a guess, I would probably say 1, 2, 3. We probably have 5 or 6 clients who are in very, very heavily saturated markets. And we have a jewelry business that is a very heavily saturated market. So how do you stand out? Right? You can't.
Well, number one is you can go, because this is what Lululemon did. So Lululemon, you're competing against Nike and Adidas. Lululemon went exclusive. So in the early days, it was hard to find certain colors. They would only do certain colors for certain releases, and then they would never have that color again. So there was this mad dash by a lot of people to try to get a certain color. So they would have this exclusivity to their product, right?
Yep.
So, and they did a lot of retail back in the day.
They did a ton of retail and a lot of community stuff.
A lot of community stuff. So what they would do, if you're unfamiliar, is they would sponsor dance teachers and gym teachers. And so if you were a teacher, you could go in and get a significant discount to wear your stuff in front of your class.
When you say a teacher, you mean like not like a educator.
No, I'm saying like a gym
Pilates
instructor,
teacher,
an instructor, my
dance
wife, teacher.
My wife got her fitness instructor license.
Yes.
And was able to get it. I think your wife got it because she teaches dance.
So
right?
they had this kind of guerrilla tactic of exclusivity, but then they would invite people in that had influence in the communities to wear that exclusive stuff. And then people, would want it.
Yeah, you'd get like 20% off. And they weren't affiliates.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get paid. It was literally just like, hey, you want 20% off? We never do discounts. You want 20% off?
Yeah, you want a discount because they never did discounts.
And so that's what pumped them up.
Yeah.
Now
and you'd get a really good discount.
Now, Vuori did that, but much bigger. Like they would offer like 40% off. So they doubled it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they did. I do know. Yeah, they doubled it, and then they took it a step further and said, we don't just want all of those like community people who might not have following or whatever. They're just going to be more word of mouth people. Let's go find bigger people to talk about us too.
Right.
Where I don't recall Lululemon doing that. Lululemon didn't. I'm sure they did.
It's hard to say because they're 2012 to 2016, 18.
But I was pretty deep.
Vuori started growing post that.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously,
but nonetheless, it's like step one is exclusivity, helps you stand out. So I think a lot of people are scared to go exclusive because you're narrowing your audience. But Tesla also went exclusive. So if you look at these companies that have grown over time, right now owning a Tesla is not really a huge status symbol like it used to be. I mean, they're not cheap cars, but they're really not that expensive anymore in comparison.
Yeah. 2-3 years ago, they were very much a status symbol.
Yeah, or I'd say 3 Yeah, even 2 years ago, probably, even though prices started coming down. But they started out only selling roadsters to rich people, and there's like some economy of scale here, and that was their long-term plan. They sold these really fast, expensive cars, and now they've moved into more of a everyday car.
Yeah.
So a Model 3 and a Y are great car options for just like your regular middle class American. Like they're not that crazy. I mean, they're literally the same price as buying a Toyota.
Well, I think the average car price now is like $48,000,
which is a Y.
And you can get a Y or a 3 for that or less.
Yes. So exclusivity, you start exclusive because your profit's always going to be better. And then you move into more of like a broader approach. So that's one way to stick out, is if you want to become more exclusive.
And ways
so you're not trying to be for everyone.
And ways you can do the exclusivity is,
well, one with price. Like you don't want to be cheap.
Yeah, you said one which was drops that sell out. That is very exclusive.
So it's product drops and price.
And price is another one. And Vuori for sure stepped up on the price. Like they elevated their price. It was very similar to Lululemon, but it was cheaper. It was more expensive than Nike and the Adidas. And
it was much more expensive than a Nike and Adidas.
Your everyday wear.
Yep. I mean, Lululemon back in the day was like $110, $20 for joggers.
For a pair of joggers. Yep.
Like we're talking in 2016, 15, 14 prices. That's a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
I wonder what their prices are now. I want to check.
Yeah. So yeah, I like it. I think exclusivity is something that can help you stand out in a very crowded market, right? I think the other thing, and we've kind of alluded to this already, is people, sometimes you can just outspend people in ads. Like if you've raised capital, you can do that. But I'm guessing the majority of people who are listening to this podcast, that's not very helpful for them because they probably don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to outspend their competition. So, one of the keys to selling, so Mark and I talk about this all the time.
$130, they're joggers
now. So they've gone up like $20 or so.
Yeah. Which isn't that much considering.
Yeah. In the last 6-7 years. Yeah. So the other thing is, like Mark and I talk about this all the time. If you want to grow your business, you've either got to get more traffic, you got to find ways to increase your conversion rate. You got to find ways to increase the average order value. You have to find ways to get your returning customers to come back more frequently. And so if Vuori is going from $1 million to $30 million, and then from $30 million in 2018 to now what we just talked about, which seems like it may be somewhere around the billion, north of $1 billion annual revenue, you have to get, yes, you can spend money, but if you're listening to this podcast, you don't have all that money, you have to have other people talk about you, right? You need borrowed distribution is what I like to call it. And it's not just, hey, it's not the old school model of, hey, here's $8,000, influencer has 5 million followers, or $10,000. Will you post about us?
Yeah. And do you want slow growth or fast growth too?
Yeah.
That's the question.
For sure.
Because you don't have to grow the way Vuori did.
No.
And just so everyone knows, I just looked it up. Lululemon's worth close to $40 billion.
Yeah. Which makes sense, right? They're not even close to
And I think they're
Vuori.
publicly traded now, right?
I have no idea, but probably.
But they're worth close to $40 billion. They were founded in 98. That's still fast growth. That's incredible growth. That's a giant company. Mm-hmm. Their earnings calls are still going up too. Like they're not slowing down.
Yeah.
They're going up, but it took them a while.
Yeah.
And that guerrilla approach that they took, where, I mean, maybe it's just because that's what it was back in the day. Like social media wasn't kind of what it is now. Yeah. I mean, the Instagram boom started happening in 2014 is when it came on to the scene as like the main social channel. Yeah. But they worked with communities and did community building, like real community outreach. And because of that, I'm sure they have a ton of brand loyalists that have stuck around for a really long time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Where no one does that anymore. Everyone just goes straight to Instagram. Like they don't do any real life reach out. They don't build communities in the same way.
You're starting to see it more and more, right? Like, did we talk about this when you asked, was it last week where you said, what's a trend that you're going to see for 2025? Like, what should we expect? Remember when you asked me this question? Mm-hmm. Did we talk about in real life stuff?
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe I just created a TikTok about it. But I think that that type of stuff is coming back.
Well, it is because the running clubs are a good example of that. Yeah, the running clubs
or the mommy, like, I see a lot of like mommy walk clubs. So it's the moms who have babies who are in their house all day. You're seeing a lot of brands who are starting to say, hey, we're a motherhood brand. If you're in Chicago, every Monday, we get our strollers and we walk.
Yes, because from a high vantage point, I think sometimes we forget how weird COVID was and how much it messed with people's psyches.
Yeah.
I don't think we're still done looking at what the like overall long-term effects are of that.
Yeah.
Not only on adults, but I mean, there's kids and teenagers. Like, I think that's why.
Well, I think we think about it more on what's happened with the kids and teenagers and less about how it's
the adults,
us.
For sure, just because of education, right?
Because you and me talk about this all the time. Like, we're based in Utah, and half of our clients are in Utah, and the other half are scattered throughout the United States. Mm-hmm. And we got a client during COVID in Utah, mm-hmm. and we didn't meet them until last year. And they're like, you're like 10 minutes from them.
I'm 10 minutes away.
I'm like 30 minutes from them. And we were just like, what are we doing? Like, we got so like caught up in, Zoom, Slack.
Which we're big believers in.
Huge. Yeah. Like we were able to get so much done. But all of a sudden, and what was funny is I didn't even see him. Like when I first met him, it wasn't at like our request. Like, hey, we should go to lunch. I was at like an event.
You're like, oh.
And he was like at this dinner event, and him and I were like, what? How is this the first time we've ever met in person? You know?
So funny.
And since then we've now met, and we try to do that more often with clients. But yeah, even like adults, we've even gotten caught up in that so much where it's like somebody lives 10 minutes away, but so much easier to be on a Zoom.
Yeah. Like people matter and like human relationships matter. And as a brand, one of the ways to build brand loyalty is to foster or to help accelerate those types of relationships.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
what Lululemon did. They didn't create those relationships between students and teachers. They were just saying, hey, let's sponsor these people in a way so that, hey, they're in a dance class, like they're going to be more likely, or they're in a cycling class. They love what their teacher's wearing because they're all looking at them, their instructor. Well, let's throw that on.
Well, they would go do a lot of those in real life stuff too.
And they would do little sponsored events.
They'd go and start yoga classes and host yoga stuff. And I think what a lot of people forget is not to get religious, but like.
But you're going to get religious?
But I'm going to slightly. I'm a religious guy.
Okay.
But like if in Christian text, it's all about the one, right? Like that's what they focus on. It's like, hey, like don't just think of 100 people there. Look at individual people. Like that's what it's all about, you know? And I think oftentimes in business, like we cast the wide net because we want everyone. And the one is too much work, right? So in real life, what I mean by that is if you have a customer base of 50,000 people across the United States and 100 of them are in Salt Lake City or San Diego or Carlsbad or whatever, 100 of your 50,000 is the one. It doesn't seem like a lot enough to make a difference.
Yeah, and going to the one is a good reason why you should build a persona. Because you can't talk to 100,000 people, but you can talk to one person.
Yeah.
That will relate to 100,000 people.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I think doing these things, and that's what Lululemon did really big, is they had it is to do the in real life stuff. It is a lot of work. You have to have a lot of people. It requires a lot of your time.
It is a lot of work. But what was there? My sister-in-law worked there back in the early days. Mm-hmm. So I remember like this huge comeuppance of Lululemon, right?
Yeah.
And she worked at one of their retail stores. But what was the ethos? Like, who was the persona of Lululemon?
I would probably say, a mom.
Because the owner talks about it.
Yeah.
Remember, he said he didn't want certain people wearing their stuff.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was a fit
Yes.
mom, essentially. Not even like,
I wouldn't even say mom. It was just fit women.
yeah, I don't know. I think
early
it was
days-
very much not the 20-year-old.
No,
I think it was more
we're
like the
talking
30-year-old.
aspirational 30-year-old.
Which generally is going to be a mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they never had mom stuff.
Yeah, not pregnant women or,
It was-
yeah.
yeah.
No, yeah.
So
I
it
understand what you're
was,
saying.
we want fit women,
Yeah.
period. Like they were exclusive. Like they did not want certain body types.
Yeah.
And they got in trouble for this, I think, in 2020.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone.
Like
His
once
name
the
is
body.
Chip. The founder's name's
Yeah.
Chip something. But
Chip.
yeah, he gets like a ton of heat. Like they toss him in the same category. We used to toss him in the same category as the Abercrombie guy.
The Abercrombie guy.
But now he's like sex trafficker. So he's.
What?
Oh yeah,
Abercrombie guy?
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean he's like in some really really deep stuff. So I don't think he's.
Well, I
now
never
in
wore
that.
Abercrombie, so.
I did a little bit. My mom loved it. Buy it for me.
I remember going in the store and just wanting to pass out.
Because of all the perfume
Yeah.
and fun. I will say this, though, still to this day, Fierce by Abercrombie is one of the best smelling colognes ever. My dad still wears it. I was wearing that in like 05, and my dad still wears that. It's like, it was like Fierce or Aquadigio. Remember Aquadigio? So anytime I smell Aquadigio, I'm like,
remember Aquadigio.
did you buy that 10 years ago and you're still just or 20 years ago and you're still just using it?
There's no way people still use Aquadigio.
Oh, I smell it every now and then.
Really?
Yeah, like it's like a
That's
blast
so-
from the past.
that's
'Cause
so funny.
I guarantee if Grayson was wearing it right now, you'd be like,
Every junior high
Aquadigio?
boy was testing out Aquadigio.
oh yeah. Well, you were sexy, man. Because it was like a low price here. Like Aquadigio.
Yeah, but
was
there
like
was some
15.
there were some rumors about it too.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, there's some rumors that it would help
like
your game.
pheromones.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. It never worked for me.
So of course, like a bunch of loser junior high boys are the ones wearing it.
Yeah. Anyways.
But anyways, yeah, they
Their
were very
persona,
exclusive
yeah.
in their persona. So that
Yeah.
so if you want to start from the beginning, the outreach and the community building they did was not like, yes, it was nice and it was great, but they were very strict about who they wanted wearing their stuff. That's why they went to instructors. Like they didn't want just anyone wearing their stuff. They wanted people that others looked up to in a fitness way.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
So very exclusive. And you have to be exclusive. I know we want to be inclusive all the time, but as a marketer, you have to think in exclusive ways. And I'm not saying to discriminate.
Sure.
What I'm saying is you just have to think about, hey, if I'm in clothing, let's say I'm a men's clothing brand.
Yeah.
Do I want any guy wearing my stuff? And the question is, True Classic Tees is a good example of like the antithesis of this theory because they went for everybody.
But you can go big, right? If you like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they went for everybody.
Yeah.
But in a way, they went broad, but I would actually argue that it wasn't exclusive in the way of, oh, we're an exclusive brand, but it's like they were only for men.
Well,
It was men, period.
their messaging was broad,
And their messaging was broad, but specific.
but it was meant for dad bod,
Yes.
right? So it wasn't like, even though like their messaging was anyone can wear us,
It was the anti-Lululemon messaging.
it
for men.
was, it was like, hey, these either look too tight on you if you're wearing Lululemon and you can see your thickness,
Yep.
or you're wearing something so big from TJ Maxx that doesn't have a fit. And so it just looks like you're wearing a bag.
Like we're going to come in.
So they targeted the dad bod 100%.
Yes. And that's what I want to say is like, it's inclusive, but also exclusive. Because there's a lot of guys that look at True Classic Tees and they're like, no,
I've never bought one ever. And I don't really
like, I don't
desire to
like, cause they don't identify with that
Yeah.
brand. Like if you're a super fit dude, chances are you've never bought one.
Yeah, chances are if you're a super fit dude and you're looking at True Classics versus cuts, what are you buying?
You're probably buying cuts.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my argument.
I would
at
agree.
least. But if you're just a guy who's like,
Or a Vuori or, like, yeah.
And guess what? I'm not saying it's good or bad either way.
Sure.
We're just analyzing
Yeah.
and hypothesizing.
Yep.
But if you're just an average dude, you're busy, you're not into fitness, which is fine, but like, you're okay shape, but like you got a dad bod, good for you.
Yeah.
Salute. True Classic Tees comes to your rescue and it makes you look like, a t-shirt that actually looks good on me.
Yeah. Makes me look like I'm a little more trim.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like where the conversation's going is
But
because
very specific.
we're talking about very saturated t-shirts, very saturated. Everyone sells a t-shirt, right? Every clothing brand
Athletic
sells
wear.
a t-shirt. Yep. Athletic wear. We talk jewelry. You can talk
Liquid Death.
supplements, water, right? Very saturated things. And I think where the full circle is coming around is you can be very, you can be in a very saturated market, but if you find your person, you find your group of people.
And who are they?
True Classics dad bod.
And then you only talk to them.
Yep. Exactly. Abercrombie and Fitch was only pretty high schoolers, right? Pretty people,
Which makes sense if he's a sex
Yeah.
trafficker.
Who's the other one? There's a women's brand called Brandy Melville. And if I recall, they only have like up to size 2.
Really?
Yeah. So they are
Well, I'm looking at them right now.
very, and yeah, they've had some documentaries about them and they've had some very they're very much in the media.
So they're the small girl brand?
Exactly. So they took like what Abercrombie did, but like to the extreme.
3 million followers.
Yeah. They're huge. They
Wow.
are huge. So I think you get into these saturated markets, and one of the best ways to unsaturate it or to make it feel like it's less saturated is to identify who that person is. Vuori, let's go back to Vuori. Their person is like straight athletes.
Yes.
Right? That was not Lululemon. Like, even though they had like the community of yoga instructors, it wasn't athletes.
It was
right?
fitness.
It was fitness.
Which
very different.
it's hard for maybe the average person to distinguish what
between
the difference
the
is.
two. Yeah.
But there is a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
I'm in a fitness stage of life, not an athlete stage of life.
and I'm in a very much athlete stage of life right now.
Like, I don't compete in any sports. I
Yeah.
grew up competing in sports, but right now I am not
Yeah.
pursuing athletic.
So your mentality may be more so to buy a Lululemon potentially, whereas mine is very much Vuori because I am like, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
right?
like, I'm
play
not a
tennis
runner.
4 days a week, and I like their material for performance. It's very soft for me, So yeah, I think messaging and identifying your niche is probably the most important thing you can do as a saturated brand owner. And then there's these other things that we talked about, right, Mark? Like, I think to kind of like full circle the conversation and kind of like dwindle this down a little bit here, because we've gone off on a few tangents. Mark said you can do some exclusivity. That helps out a lot.
But exclusivity, there's exclusivity in your
In
brand.
your product, in your brand, also in your product, right?
Well, this is how I would define exclusivity. Is like you have exclusivity because we go back to like defining your brand is like you have to choose your enemy and draw a line in the sand. When you're exclusive, you can be exclusive with price points and products. You can also be exclusive with your messaging.
Absolutely.
But we'll just define that as targeting. So yes, so exclusivity, products,
But your messaging
pricing.
is the new way to target, right?
Yes.
Your messaging, which helps you create your content. Your content is what really helps targeting nowadays.
And like I'm
Right.
looking at all of like True Classic Tees ads, and again, like they have a few that are more model-y now, like more like model men,
Sure.
but still very much just like dad.
Yeah.
That is a good way to describe them, is they were and are a dad brand.
Yeah.
And dads often feel like once you get to your 30s, I feel it. I think you felt it. You get to this point with your style where you're like, man, this stuff, like my body's changed. I don't really fit into stuff. Like nothing really fits me. Like all the standard sizing doesn't fit me.
Right.
And they just, here's a tee that makes you look good.
Yeah. They found like their market that they found was really awesome. I think it's really cool. So I think that's where you end, right? Like it's who define your audience.
Yeah.
It's not every woman. It's not every man. It's not even just fit men, right? You got to go a little bit deeper than that, especially if you're saturated.
And don't fall for the trap of thinking, well, we also get these kinds of people.
Yeah. Yeah. You will get those people secondarily.
Yep.
It's going to happen, right?
And talk to them another time. But if you're trying to grow, the riches are in the niches is what they say.
Yeah. Yeah. We work with jewelry brands. We talk to jewelry, such a saturated market, but you can work with somebody who creates jewelry for pregnant women around breastfeeding. Seems odd. She does great because she's narrowed it down to, it's not somebody who's, it's not a
very specific message for a specific time. It's not an empty
nester whose kids are not even an empty nester. It's not, you're not going to have an empty nester who is ever buying that jewelry.
No.
You're not going to get even somebody in their 40s who's not an empty nester, but who's done having kids who are going to buy that jewelry. You're getting 25 to 35-year-old women who are either starting or ending that journey, who is going to buy that. So
yeah, I like it.
Define your audience. Then you can target your messaging, and then you can create content around that, which will then target and find those people.
Now, quick public
service announcement.
Service announcement. That's what I was looking for. PSA.
Yeah. I don't know what this is.
If you're on Shopify, make sure that all your Black Friday discounts are synced with your sales channel for Instagram and Facebook, so Meta.
Yes.
And also Google and YouTube. And then just go into your merchant center on the Google side, make sure those discounts are showing up in shopping networks on your search terms. That's something that a lot of brands miss.
Yeah. What else? Well, let's give a couple. Anything else that we saw some misses? Because we did.
Yes,
a lot of people did early Black Friday sale.
Also, make sure, this is what we always recommend. It doesn't matter. Just get your Black Friday sale banner up.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if your email's gone out or not. Just get it up first thing in the morning or midnight the night before.
Yeah.
Like and make sure your code's live. And
let your code be live for an extra hour or two.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's those people who are checking out at
and time
9:59 and time. Yeah, exactly.
Like nobody wants to pay attention to like if it means midnight Pacific or Eastern.
We had a client who did a pre-Black Friday sale who left theirs open, I think, for like 12 extra hours. And they did like 5x what their normal revenue would be in a normal day. And
we weren't advertising it anymore either.
We weren't advertising the sale at all. And it wasn't an auto code.
And the banner was gone too.
The banner was gone.
Yeah, it was just people
just had remembered
or saw the email.
They did go against our better judgment. And we are auto code people. They did not do auto code.
Yeah, auto code's just easier.
Auto code's easier. A lot of people don't put banners up, and a lot of people like to have people put in the regular discount because they're like, well, what if somebody just wants to buy full price? And it's like,
nobody wants to buy full price. You're going to get
more people who are going to see the advertisement and want to convert.
Or see your evergreen ad and then see the banner.
Exactly.
And then that's a pleasant surprise.
I would even say put it in the announcement bar, right? Because a lot of you are going to be doing advertising that sends people to either a landing page, a collection page, or a product page. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you send it to the homepage too, right? It makes sense to send it to the homepage, but a lot of you aren't going to be sending things to homepages. So
yeah, collection pages or product pages.
So make sure it's in the announcement bar, which is on every page, because that announcement bar stays up there. I also will put it all throughout the homepage, like in 3 different sections, So if you have other like slider images or whatever, it's Black Friday. I'll sometimes put it in the collection. Like, you could put it in the collection
that's a good
header.
Point.
You can use a script that's like, hey, 30% off site wide, Black Friday. So put it all over, cake it all over. It will help your sales. Don't do auto discounts or just mark everything down. Don't make people put in promo codes. It's just one less step. And if I recall right, like there's been times where you can't use your Apple Pay if you have the put in a promo code, like it messes things up. So that's huge. And I virtually only use Apple Pay if they have the option.
Yeah, Apple Pay has an issue with it sometimes if it's not auto applied.
I also saw just another thing is I also saw people's shipping stuff was off, because sometimes like if you have promos where if somebody spends over X amount of dollars, like over $100, you get free shipping, but you don't have like override shipping rules for your primary discount. Like I went to check out on one brand and I had spent enough money to get my free shipping and it wouldn't give me my free shipping. So I actually bailed. Like I was going to spend a couple $100 and buy some gifts for people. And because it wasn't giving me free shipping and it was charging me $10, I'm like, I'm not doing this when I qualified for the free shipping.
Yeah. So just, little bugs, just go through your checkout, make sure everything looks good.
Yeah.
And then just double check, make sure your discount, your Black Friday is being advertised.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that with Google and why that's a huge missed opportunity is there's a lot of people that will just search your brand thinking, oh, I wonder if they have a Black Friday discount.
Yeah.
And if they don't see it in the shopping network, or if they don't see it like first search, they might not come.
Yeah. Can I leave a little Easter egg since we're just doing this now?
Sure, if it's the last one.
It's the last one.
Okay.
It's nothing to do with Black Friday. It's a promotion for us. Mark and I just launched a new company. May I?
Oh yeah, you may.
This is the Easter egg, okay? We just launched a new company. It's called BFF Creative, where it's like in-house subscription creative agency. Best way to put it. Like we are your in-house creative team. So you don't have to pay
Designs on demand.
Designs on demand. Yep. So video edits,
and graphic.
ads, emails, product images, anything you need. We just launched it. We're in beta. Friends 25% off for 2 months. Check it out.
BFFcreative.co.
For the first two months, if you do it, only people who get this who listen to the whole episode. I know people
That's true.
So that's why I did it at the end.
I like it.
Right? So those listeners who did it, and DM me if you did it. DM me if you heard it and let me know. That'd be exciting. But it's awesome. Like really cool portal that you can submit all your requests, have direct communication with the designers. You can revise it, unlimited revisions, unlimited requests. It's really cool and wildly inexpensive.
Yes, it is.
Compared to having an in-house designer or even compared to working with somebody on Fiverr.
And if you do have an in-house designer, chances are they're bottlenecked.
100%. So even if you have
they're always overworked.
Yeah, designers love using it.
And most companies aren't in a position where they need to hire a second one.
Yes.
But you can get a second one for the price of
a quarter.
A quarter or a fifth of the price of one.
For sure. So,
all right.
Between you and I. All right. Okay.
Easter egg.
Thank you, everybody. We will see you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Good luck
Black
with Black Friday. We will see you on Cyber Tuesday.
Cyber Week.
Yep.
Cyber trucks.
See ya. Thank you so much for listening to the Unstoppable Marketer podcast. Please go rate and subscribe the podcast, whether it's good or bad. We want to hear from you because we always want to make this podcast better. If you want to get in touch with me or give me any direct feedback, please go follow me and get in touch with me. I am at the Trevor Crump on both Instagram and TikTok. Thank you, and we will see you next week.